few weeks ago, I was doing a podcast with a guy named John.
My thesis was, if I could manufacture a product competitively, meaning that I could manufacture it as cheaply as anybody else and sell it direct to consumer, nobody could cut me out, right? Because I do have a competitive advantage.
Interesting.
So that was the insight that I had, and that's why I chose air filters.
He's a very smart young guy in his 20s that's out building a third-party logistics business. I invited him to meet me when I'm here in Pittsburgh so that we can chop it up and talk about it and maybe learn some stuff from each other. We just landed in Pittsburgh. We're going to New Kensington. I've kind of got some end-of-year operational check-in. We're also going to meet John. I love learning about businesses and entrepreneurs of all kinds, so we'll see how it goes. You know, John was one of the first people that took a shot to send me a DM and asked me to come on his podcast. The nice thing about doing that in person is we got to know each other a little bit. And I learned about him and, you know, saw what he was up to. It's a very different fulfillment need than our traditional pleated air filter. So I'm interested to pick his brain on that and kind of see, you know, if I can learn anything from him. Rather than really dreaming and working towards a bigger vision, he's kind of getting stuck in small thinking. And that's the thing that I want to kind of work with him on.
Oh, wow.
We make 100,000 units a day across our, you know, everything. The way that we get to that 80% next day is if you order by 2 o'clock, it ships same day. You can't run out of anything. And so, like, the system that I built, which we can kind of show, keeps everything organized. So we're basically making what exactly we need to replenish whatever inventory is going out the door. Like, we spend $50 million a year with FedEx.
Yeah.
Or I'd say like $65 million this year. We have a lot of negotiating power with that. I mean, but we're also able to work with them to optimize, to make sure we're putting the right packages into the right centers, which keeps their costs down. Every time we've been able to increase our delivery speed, our conversion rates go up. We take that so seriously, we're working on same-day delivery in as many markets as possible.
Yeah.
If you're in any kind of competitive space, and you're like, oh, I'm buying a makeup, as you talk about it, and you're shopping online, and this one's going to guarantee tomorrow and this one's going to be in 6 days or unknown, the consumer is choosing that tomorrow.
What's the next biggest company that does what you guys do? They're not shipping next day type of thing.
They're not shipping next day. Nobody else is. How I like to think about it in life is like, what is my unique competitive advantage?
How much did you spend to put this all together in here?
It's an impossible question to answer because I did it over a long period of time. I built the first manufacturing facility from scratch in Alabama. Everything that's painted green, we actually manufactured.
Oh, you painted it and you made the machines and everything?
Yeah.
Really?
I had somebody take apart every machine that we put in the manufacturing process, and that was how I so quickly rolled it all out.
Oh, so you know how all these machines are made in a sense?
Yeah, we made them all.
You made them all.
Yeah. Once you learn to go in and like problem solve and figure some stuff out, then it's like a muscle that as you build, you become better and better at it. It's going to make you better and better as a business person. How many total employees do you have?
New Jersey probably has like 35 of them, 36. There's like 5-6 people in Vegas.
How big is that warehouse space?
In Vegas, like 15,000 square feet. It's like two buildings, like that's like in the same. There's 2 suites in the same building. Yeah, so it's like.
And is that full?
Yeah.
Relatively.
Depends who you're asking. I'd say it's not full. They'd say it's full. Like the logistics is actually not that hard. Like from what we do. Like if you had 8 warehouses, maybe a little harder. And like get the truck stuff a little harder. But like it's more of the people, like expectation, like maintaining all that type of stuff.
What got me here is doing basically what you're doing, and that is being scrappy. You see a problem, you fix it, you get better at it, you improve. I've been able to build all this is because I understand every single detail.
You brute force the shit.
I brute force this. Like there's not a process
that
that you could find in here that I don't understand and could not unpack for you at a deep level because I had no choice. I did that out of survival. But to go from this to a multi-billion-dollar a year business takes a completely different mindset than that. You know, like when I quit Goldman at 29, I was making 7 figures a year. Over time, taking that to 8+ and taking that path, and I would have been successful at that. But the question I asked myself then, which was really important, is, you know, do I want to be doing this in 10 years?
I was there during the financial crisis. And I was convinced I was going to lose my job, and that was a real driver for me to figure out, like, how am I going to make some money if I lose my job?
All the opportunities are in the things that other people don't want to fool with.
Don't want to do it.
And so maybe you actually want to lean into that and say, well, is there a way for me to figure out how to do this uniquely well, and then I have a sustainable competitive advantage because nobody else is going to do it and compete with me. Part of the way I ultimately came up with this is I wanted something that I could work on for a long period of time that I thought had a low probability of dying.
I think that's why we got into this too, though, because it was something that I was like, all right, big market, warehouses aren't going away, e-commerce aren't going away. You can do this for a very long time, type of thing.
Which is true. So what is your competitive advantage over everybody else? It's a great industry. There's nothing wrong with the industry if you really enjoy it and you can deal with. If you're willing to go show up to Las Vegas and place an order and do that kind of stuff, it's fine. I mean, I think it's not an industry that's going to go away.
But how are you different to get bigger in a sense?
You need to think about what is your differentiator, because it's so easy to copy what somebody else is doing, but you're oftentimes going to you're going to wake up one day and realize that it's not good anymore because it gets competed out.
Yeah,
that's just how these markets work.
We didn't expect anything really, but
it's just cool to see the size of the scale that you can get to when you take the risk, put in the work, and you're very focused. And then kind of it seems almost as overnight it turned into this, but
it's not overnight.
It's the 8 years. You're always just kind of talking about the same things, about the same people, about the same way of doing the business, and having somebody that's done it a little bit differently and has a different view on it.
It's all like a mindset shift that he really kind of pushed,
I love young entrepreneurs. I just feel such a kind of kindred spirit to that. John particularly, he's already so far along for being so young and so early in his journey. That's why I poke him a little bit, but I'm poking it because I really respect what he's done so far. And, I want him to think bigger and also be a little more patient. Going to New York, and he has a warehouse not far from the airport. So I'm going to actually go and check out his operation.
I feel like I'm in a bus in the air right now.
Okay, well, cheers.
Thank you.
Ladies act like gyms. Sit down. Indian styles, we recite these hymns.
My lawyer tells me it's just as much work to do a small transaction as a big transaction. And ironically, the small transactions are way riskier. If you have a system that the business better than the person you're buying it from, and you know what you're buying and you can integrate it to your system, then you take out a lot of that risk. Let's say you have a small HVAC in Birmingham, Alabama that is not really growing. I come in, I buy majority ownership of it. I'm mostly bringing hey, I got all my marketing, my branding. I'm going to handle all the finance, whatever. We're going to triple that in 2 years. Yeah. I want people to opt in. Yes, we want to be a part of that. That's the long game for me. I had a couple of free hours this morning, and I really wanted to see John's operation. I really like what he's doing with his business, and so I was very curious to check it out.
Where's the Ship Dude's branding?
Hold on.
So is this you?
This is all of us,
This is how you do your picking.
Exactly, yeah. So pretty much all these carts, they all have they're all one individual order in a sense, and they all have these QR codes. And then when you go picking, you have an iPhone with the scanner. It tells you what location the warehouse to go pick them.
It's you receive something and then you receive it into a location.
So you receive it. It's called stowing. Stowing's bringing it to an empty location, and then you check it into that location with the scanner. And then when you start picking and packing, it tells you where to go pick stuff from. And then everything should have a barcode on it. So this is protein powder. We just scan the UPC on everything, and that verifies we're picking the right item.
And you told me that you thought it was super disorganized. I was expecting it to be way worse.
Honestly, when I came this morning, I was it's actually pretty good today.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, in this warehouse since February. The whole business, though, started in 2021.
What does your ideal customer look like?
Perfect customer is in health and wellness, beauty, and supplements. Those are the 3 places we like to be in. Pretty much call it CPG space. doing anywhere between say 1,000 to like 10,000 orders per month, and looking for like a simple fulfillment center to work with, but also like a super high touch fulfillment center to work with, because we do put overemphasis on communication and just customer service for our merchants.
Yeah.
Like a lot of 3PLs, you'll work with a 3PL and they'll have a team in India, for example, that you're talking to, and you have no idea what's going on at the warehouse.
Right.
Us, it's all on Slack. You can FaceTime us, you can call us. Like, we're pretty much at your service at all times to help you ship your orders, because we give those brands peace of mind that like we're taking care of like the heavy lifting in a sense, and you can just focus on growing your business and running your advertising and stuff like that.
The fact that you're willing to take, you know, a case pack of a soda and take it out of that case and say, hey, we'll ship it in 1, 3, 23, whatever, that's a huge value.
Exactly.
And so like if I was a soda brand, I would say, yes, I want that.
So like, for example, if you sell a big bundle in a sense, like we're not gonna be like, hey, you have to pre-bundle 5,000 of these things before we do it. We'll literally bundle it as we're packing out that order in a sense, because our system can break down that bundle by the item. That's a big thing that a lot of these brands like need and want.
Yeah, it's a huge competitive advantage for you. I mean, quite frankly, like we do the same thing just in air filters, and we got the scale on that one thing, but that has been, you know, a huge differentiator for us as a brand. And so like the fact you as a 3PL partner for these people, if you're able to do that, you're adding a lot of value, which makes sense. But and as we kind of talked about yesterday, I think the challenge for you is to be able to keep that same service as you scale.
100%.
And like, and I think that's where a lot of other places fail. But like if you really focus on that, then I think you'll have a competitive advantage over a long period of time, because you know you have built the systems that allow you to do complicated things like
differentiate.
And differentiate. No, I mean, but that's a huge differentiator. The challenge is to do it at scale. In a 5-year horizon, you have a big goal that is meaningfully bigger than where you are today. It's going to take a different type of thinking than you have now.
For sure.
And so what do you need to do differently to be able to get to that point?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm trying to find people who are 10 steps ahead of us to kind of get
from a management perspective?
From a management perspective, like warehousing operations, stuff like that too. Just because like we only know what we know.
If you really want to go as big as you're saying, you would be smart investing in good people, and a CFO would be one of them.
Accounting and stuff like that too.
I think finding a CFO that's going to really help you to understand the drivers of your business, which is a process we're going through in a big way right now, and I waited too late for that. Like if you really want to scale, then having somebody that's going to come in and help, just be a partner for you and helping to say, hey, this is the real driver, we need to look at this, I think would really accelerate for you. I actually went to Goldman and then quit my job at Goldman. He said from the beginning, I'm going to be better off without him, which that takes a lot of guts. What was it that gave you the confidence to do that?
For sure.
And you know, what was the moment that you're like, hey, you know, this is the business that I'm going to really work on scaling?
So like pretty much what happened was when I was in college, my roommate was doing e-commerce. I was like 19 and I heard cha-ching, cha-ching. There's like a Shopify notification and I was like, what in the world is this? And we didn't know what a 3PL was. Like we assumed every brand just fulfilled their own orders. Like that's what we thought. We pretty much worked with like 1 or 2 brands early on, and then that started snowballing. And then pretty much what we found out was that like I really liked working with like brands and meeting founders and stuff like that. And my partner Joe liked running operations of like warehouses and stuff.
I mean, I just think that is the story that anybody that is successful in business ultimately finds. It's like they start something because they're interested in it, or they see a potential opportunity. You start experimenting, you playing, it evolves, and then you're like, hey, you find like this like the opportunity is really slightly different than what I originally thought it was, but then you take that on, and then it becomes yours, and you grow it.
We thought worst case scenario we each lost $1,000, but that was like pretty much the top.
So you only put $1,000, and you
I put $1,000. Joe
$2,000.
put $1,000. It was $2,000 total. Yeah, I put $1,000. Yeah.
People think that you need money to be able to go out and build something like this. But the reality is, if you build a good business, you can compound it from a small 100%. Thing, and over time, it grows into something big. It takes time and patience. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can do it. I didn't know exactly what I was walking into, and I'm super impressed with John and what he and his team and partner have built. One of the things that I really am working hard on over the next year and am committed to doing is finding a way to really talk to people that are maybe early in their journey and show actionable steps, actionable tips that you can take in order to put yourself on the path of being successful.
Don't forget to subscribe, because next week,
the thing that has been on my mind is a bias to action. That's what we're going to dig into. Maybe the key differentiator.
I'm taking you behind the scenes as I share one of my core principles that I apply not only to my business, but my life as well, a bias to action. I also get a first-hand look at one of our brand new facilities in California.
In this episode, we're talking about bias to action. It's easy to get a lot of hate when you've already built this and you all see what the end result is. But let's take a little bit of a step back down memory lane and talk about how this started 12 or so years ago.